weak as piss. My piss is quite strong.
I just felt so much energy within myself.
I'm going to lay down a nice video later and nailing it, yeah? Nailing it. Who's this? No one. That's good. About the potential of people, and that is the fundamental threat to their existence, is things which haven't happened yet. They have the, let's say, intellect, because there's different types of intellect, yeah? There's emotional intellect, there's obviously intelligence, mental intellect, and there's also like spiritual intellect too, which is kind of becoming more and more known or recognised as a science, should we say, which it will be. And yeah, it's gone well over the hill now, yeah. Spiritual science is going to be a topic. It's going to be like something to study at university, yeah, for people, without all the airy-fairy bullshit around it. It's an actual science, yes. But what I noticed with people and the control mechanism of what keeps everything in suspension is, it boils right down to your closest, yeah. It does. I knew this right in the first place, that who I initially caught out on a line were playing upon a bunch of traits of human traits, should we say, which aren't particularly that great. They're the narcissistic ones. These are the ones which they become imbued with when they go up the ranks in a cult, because they have the initiations to qualify to themselves that they're above the next person, or whether that be in their cult or especially people not in the cult, well above them. And this is their mentality. So this is where the first I'm better than you type of thing comes in for these people. Of course, they don't consider much apart from their control tactics, which are it's dark psychology. There's not much in the way of skill going on, really, creative skill anyway, with these types. Original creative skill I'm talking about. I mean, even musically, you find people who've been involved with cults, and I noticed this long ago, and have come out of cults, whether that be religious ones or, culty cults, whatever, anything like that, whether like Jehovah's Witnesses or Scientology or anything really, their preferred taste of music for some reason is death metal. Now, nothing against death metal, yeah, but that's quite strange, like, and it's really in your face, not that fucking groovy. It's like, harsh. And I'm not like slagging it off, I mean? I love all different types of music to some extent. But so they don't give anything else much of listen to, say something which may be a bit more, I don't know, low key, a bit folky, but sort of wonderful, as in someone can actually listen to it and wonder upon it, like a poem, much more than they could a piece of death metal music, which just doesn't involve that much skill really, just a lot of volume and effects pedals and effects units and shit like that. I mean, you can't do death metal on an acoustic guitar really, can you? Not properly. I don't know who has, but can have a go. But do you know what I'm saying? So the music thing, I realised there was a limit there for people who have been, say, involved with any cult activities. They just don't like any heartful music really, because they just their hearts are broken basically already, so they prefer to go along with the discordant and disruptive and noisy type of audio or sound to accompany their lifestyle. I don't know, it's kind of sidetracked me now again, but what I was going to say is about people in society. And you've got mainly your norms, which are just norms, yeah, and they're a combination of empathic and narcissistic attributes to norms, yeah. They kind of like follow the leader, yeah. So they're all programmed really. They can't particularly think for themselves yet. They do have the potential, yeah. But they're quite comfortable in being a norm, yeah. They don't want any trouble, really. They don't need them either. Lots of them have families. They've got other things to be worried about or to be concerned about, which is quite paradox, or what do you call it? Ironic in a way, because there are other people though, of whom, and these what would be described as, say, the hardcore narcs, the hardcore narcissists, who have been this way pretty much all their lives and have come from narcissists, yeah, as in family-wise. Sorry to bring your family into this, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand why a person has a certain bunch of traits in them when they observe the traits of their parents. No, he doesn't know. Even the most, you don't even have to have a qualification to actually realise this. So you get these people, and they're few and far between, who are hardcore narcs, yeah? And around them, they're surrounded by people who are indifferent, who kind of don't really care either way. They're the norms, yeah? They're like, oh, fuck it, that's not my fault, nothing to do with me type of thing, yeah? And then you get your hardcore, it's been termed as empath, which is like the opposite to a narc. They can come across a bit narky too, because of the inertia and the resistance and the lack and the countermeasures, which were all there, to kind of fuck with these people, these anti-narc people, which are so-called empaths, yeah. This is, the infrastructure was all there to do this already. They knew, they had prior knowledge of this. And when I say they, I'm talking about secret cults, secret societies, and secret sects and orders, religions, and groups of people of whom think in a hive-based way. they don't really have individual free thinkers within those groups because it's a cult, and they all follow a leader, yeah, whoever that leader may be. Now, when it comes out of this realm, similar things go on in groups of people, society, friends, and interactions between social circles, should we say. This all comes about. You can always spot, like, say, the narc, or the bigot, or the caring one, or the empath. People can spot them. It's not difficult. But what these narcs do have, they have like a radar on them, and this radar must have kicked in long before it did with the empaths about how people are, because it seems to be that the main narcs, they kind of knew, they identified the potential in someone else, yeah, and that I won't say scared them, but it unnerved them, didn't like it, and it threatened their control, yeah, to whatever they were thinking, because they always think that the world revolves around them and them only, with no consideration to anyone else but them. And that's another weird thing to comprehend. Some people can comprehend it because they're possibly narcs, yeah, but some people are just like, how the fuck, what, like, that is mad, especially when presented with such amount of information for which you could actually partake in the betterment of mankind and actually take heed on what someone else was saying, not to be like, oh shit, I was wrong, look at me, I'm such a dick. No, and for me to go, well, unlucky, yeah, I was right all the time, told you, because I think that's what they're scared of. And I always said, like, this isn't, that's not the case. That is not the case. Because you think like that. These people think like that. Obviously, if they were in the position, they would be rubbing it right in my face. Have a look at that, you stupid cunt. Have a look at that. But I didn't do that. See, well, not to that extent. But these people would be fucking livid, because of someone else saying, no, you're wrong, when you've got all the information right in front of them. They're right, and you're telling me I'm wrong. I can't read that. I don't want to read that. It's there. Get your glasses. Kind of thing. And yeah, this is what's going on. So these people of whom identify, say, they've been called the chosen ones, yeah? The people who have chosen to know exactly who they are and develop that way. Know fully well that there's an up and a down. There's an ascendant and a divergent timeline going on. People are thinking differently from others. People think differently from others, and people have always thought differently from others. That's the spice of life, shall we say. Variety of life. Spice of life is the variety of life type of thing. And that's what gives it all its dynamics and its play out, you know. It's inexorable, inevitable, always changing, always forming into a new, different thing. New, albeit old, because it's always used the same thing, but saying a more refined version of itself. Talking about humanity as a whole system. So when you've got these people in society who are, say, the psychopathic narcissists, the psychonarchs, yeah, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. They don't have to come across as aggressive or anything. It's what they what they deviate in their mind, their devious thoughts, really, how they think, their operating system, how they judge, how they immediately judge, how they come to their conclusions, which are so solid, no one can break their conclusions about once they come to a conclusion on something, even if faced with the hard matter evidence that maybe to reevaluate that conclusion because of a situation that you may not be right this time, but they don't like being told that, of course, and they don't like anyone hinting to this fact either, so they ignore anything like this, and all the stuff online about the narcissism and all this recently, the past few years has really, to me, being part of a thread of which I knew was there all the time, a thread of development, of evolution, of a mind, or a mindset, of an individual or a group, whatever, or a whole culture, a whole world, a whole mindset, has been limited by these people, of whom do actually target, and they see people's potential before the people who they see know it themselves. So this is where the smearing campaigns come in, and kind of like they always keep the person in a state of not very good, really. Kind of they realise the potential, so they're not going to big them up, are they? To some extent they can, but they don't really. They got to do little bits here and there because they would seem to be. They want to keep their disguise, really, of like just being like a norm, but they're not really. They're dangerous, dark, twisted individuals. Yeah. And when they do realise potential in someone else, especially if this potential is a bit actually off their scale, then they're really going to do their best for this potential not to manifest, not to actually come into fruition, not to even be known by that person who holds that potential. And that's what they do, and that's what they continue, and have always continued to do, is to put these type of people down for their worth. And that's often the case, that these nasty narcs, as characterful as they may come across, they don't really have any original gift or talent or something, apart from obviously this sneakiness, of which they are incredibly good at. Incredibly good. Like I said, it must be passed down through generationally wise, where this easiness of slipping into this sneaky mode and not being bothered with it, thinking that everyone does that. So again, you can't really blame people, because a lot of the people, they didn't know what they were doing around me, but they were kind of like being led. Most of the people were indifferent around me, yeah, but there were one or two which did really know the potential of what I was doing, and for it to be quite great. It wasn't shit. It was quite great, and they purposefully made it very difficult, hindered, that's putting it mildly, really. Really just did fuck shit up for anyone who have become self-aware of their potential, and what they know and see. When that click happens, or say when you become awakened from the matrix, these people then, they go into overdrive, and that's what happened. And of course, with the people around them who are indifferent, who don't really know, don't really care, not bothered really, pretend to be bothered a little bit, but they can't see this going on. They can't really see this dynamic going on, but this is what has been going on. And it's not just me saying this. People who are looking at this video now and they just know me, and they're thinking, oh, is that going on one again? Have you noticed on YouTube there's quite a lot of shit like this going on at the moment, and it's about the shift, yeah? And the spiritual shift involves, guess, humans and people, yeah? Because we're the only ones who can actually recognize a shift going on, or even had the means to put a shift there in the first place, right? Animals and everything, they can kind of like roughly know, but like they have no, they're not at the forefront of this change which society is going through. Because if it was to carry on the way it was in its narcissistic Luciferian dog eat dog, fuck everyone else, I'm just thinking of myself type mode, it wouldn't last for that much longer, and a lot of things would suffer, not just humans but animals too, and everything, yeah, humans, all ages, from 0 to fucking 100 or more. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not alcoholic. I thought I was the other day. I've been without a drink now for 2 days. I'm not shaking or anything. I might have had the shakes that day for some reason. I don't know why. Must be excited, I guess. But I thought, fucking I'll pass some marky shit. But I'm not. That's alright, yeah. There's my sunflowers there. But yeah, so, how was it now? 22. The people in society of whom, well, they're like pegs, and of course they do. They're kind of more out there. They're more vocal. They're more interactive. They're more aggressively on people who are indifferent to think a certain way about someone else. Yeah, so they kind of like do have the upper hand in a way about how to make a person think about someone else without them even meeting them, sort of thing. They always have a preconception about a person. This is what I've noticed personally, see, with people. And still, there's people out there which they don't know me, but they don't like me. They don't like me, but they just do not know me. And it's because they've just been told half lies, not the full truth, by people around them, close people to them, who actually do know the reason why I fucking went mad, in the eyes of everyone else's girlfriend, online. Went mad in front of people. Not for attention, as in look at me and that's it, as in for this to be attended to, as in this is serious information, quite dark, serious operations which have been carried out covertly by organisations which operate under the guise of benevolent religions, cults, groups, organisations, companies, whatever. When you got a company, when you have a business or a group of people, you kind of have a leader within that group. Normally, for it to function properly, you have a manager or a head person. And I mean, it's kind of like been shown in the past that if we don't have this, it kind of just meanders, albeit very creatively, but it depends upon the people within the group, how much individuality and how much they hold it dearly to themselves, that individuality, how much they're willing to throw it away just to go along with someone else's mould of how to be, which most norms do. Because most norms don't think for themselves. They think that they do, but they don't. Well, you don't. Everything that they say has either been told to them, right? And they've not really thought it through, but they say it as in a response to something. Not really thought about the logic of what they're saying. And rehashed. Not even rehashed sometimes, just verbatim, just repeated by someone else. Just to kind of like fit in with the conversations, though, I think. They've never really given any deep thought into anything apart from themselves. No consideration to anyone else. This is why the autism thing is coming, because that's what the people online that's what they're using to get out of this situation where they were knowingly messing around with people, and they could put it down to their autism, just about by not knowing any better. So they're victims themselves. They're actually just as abused as I was, as I have been. And so people use the people around them who are indifferent. And often the case, the narcs do have the upper hand, because they're the ones who just go on about it and just keep on slagging people. People love a bit of hate, slagging people off. We noticed the conversations around tables are never much about like how good the next person's doing. No, it's about how shit they're doing and how much shit is fucked up for people. That's the kind of like conversations which get people going. Has anyone noticed this? Or this must be the people I've just hung out with, I guess. But everyone just loves a good funny story about someone really fucking shagging themselves up, don't they? As long as they're not there, to see them all laughing. See their so-called friends laughing at the fact that they fucked up a little bit, whether it be by their own fault or by someone else. I'm gonna make it to 33, baby. So, the potential. I probably just don't know in this video, no? Potential in video and people. Potentials are analysed by these people. And if they recognise that there is a potential there for it to rock their foundation, their particular narcissistic, singular, narrow-minded foundation of what they believe everything revolves around them, and for this external person to them to question, ask questions, scrutinise, put certain things there for them to mull over, which disrupts their delusionist view of life, of their life, of existence. Obviously they're going to do their best to fucking shut them up, no matter who they are. And this is what has happened, yes. And unfortunately, it doesn't really matter how intelligent you are. If there's people around this person who are indifferent, who are autistic, because autistic people are indifferent too, when it comes to this. I'm not pointing fingers here, but there is a similarity between autism and narcissism, and this has been shown online. I'm not just a big fucking saying this now either. There's a very close you could say a narcissist could actually cover it up as being autistic, yeah, definitely. Without a doubt. And, with the availability of these cards, I am autistic. Don't touch me. Don't shout at me. And all this. Don't touch me. That's one rule. Totally. Oh, one boundary crossed there then, isn't it? There's some people who reckon the people around them are autistic. Well, and for there to be, there's about 4 or 5 autism tests in the world which are like government approved or psychologically governmentally approved. Of course, there's no blood test for autism, so you can't really like take someone's blood and say, and there's like a particular characteristic in the blood to say that they're autistic or not. It all just boils down to evaluation from a mental health psychologist, really, to give that diagnosis of autism or Asperger's. It's not like a disease as such where you can pick it up and see it biologically underneath the microscope. It's all mental. So this is the reason why they've used this slippery get out of trouble type of thing. So this kind of goes out to people around you. Obviously, they're going to have to use this tactic and it kind of did get hinted to all along that they were autistic. A little bit, you know what I mean? By the universe. Put it there for them to take heed of, because otherwise it's going to look like not very nice people. And I'm putting that mildly, really. Not very nice people. And not to say that autistic people are not very nice, because I know autistic people and they are so nice. And this is another thing. There's another comparison of where I'm like, I'm no real deal diagnosed properly by a doctor, autistic people, and they I've had just a brief run through of a situation, say, what I've gone through, and they understand totally that the other people were in the wrong. So it's not an excuse, really, autism. Yeah. I have to freaking bring up another one of that. But I'm not going to take these people to court either, because, like I said, I don't grasp people up. That's not my thing. I did have to put a police for that attack that day, because it just really did horrify. I mean, I was like, not going to go on about it too much. I'm not a pity player, but it was just fucking nasty, really bad. And of course, no one to really understand, because it was all over in about 5 minutes, but the aftermath of that, and yes, it does still hurt. My head still hurts 2-3 years later, for them trying to pull my fucking hair out. 2 older people who are the parents of grown men doing this for some reason, and that reason being is that I just founded on lies, basically. Founded on someone's perception, of which they don't want to disrupt their own perception, of course, and I've fed the next person to them some lies, but mainly omitting evidence or information of which would really clue things up for the next person, for them to understand, because these people do purposefully leave out bits of the story for the next person who they say want to get on their side, for them to be with them, but if they told them a few other things, they certainly wouldn't think that way. So lying by omitting evidence is probably the worst. Especially if you really do know. It's not sketchy. You fucking do know, so you're purposefully doing it. I love this thing. Rubber. We were walking on the road the other day. Like that. Look at these people's skirts. Only joking. Not done that yet. Not that mad. But look, nice day today. 35. Oh gosh. Sorry for wasting people's time, but yeah, later on I'm going to come back with a nice fat video about this. No one has to worry, because you're either autistic or you're narcissistic, so you're not going to give a shit either way, are you, really? You know what I mean? So, there you go.